When I did end up posing nude, it was super out of a rebellion for me. Hi, beautiful people. This is one of my dearest friends in the entire world, Miss Emily Meade. She is an actress that you may recognize from everywhere on HBO. The Deuce, Boardwalk Empire, The Leftovers.
You want me to make coffee?
Besides knowing Emily's work on screen, you may recognize her from recent press because she facilitated getting an intimacy coordinator on the set of The Deuce.
You brought on an intimacy coordinator on set to shoot when you were making sex scenes. So what exactly does this person do, and how does it make you and the cast kind of feel more safe?
You know, when you're doing any sort of stunt, there's a stunt coordinator overseeing, which makes sense, there should be, for any kind of vulnerable, specialized thing, and yet sex has never been treated like that. So I like to have Alicia speak to the director, find out what they want, then Alicia tells me what they want. I can respond and react to her instead of them, the person I have to creatively work with. Also, sexuality is so confusing anyway, you don't always necessarily know how you feel until you're in the moment.
I know this is a Christian channel and you might be like, how on earth is this conversation relevant to Christianity? But I think it's incredibly relevant because we are all ingesting so much information online and through our computers and through television and the medium of film. And Emily is someone that's on film, someone you may have seen nude in a sexual situation, someone you might have judged, someone you might have assumed you know something about her character or who she is as a woman. And I know most of the people in my beautiful God is Great community don't think in judgmental ways like that. But I did want to kind of demystify what it is to be an actress.
Whoa! Okay. Give it a second.
On a show that's about the empowerment of women in the sex industry, how they gain some sort of notoriety and ability to handle their own money and be like empowered in a very vulnerable position. And if you guys watch the show, you'll see women get murdered and beat, and these are all things that have happened and continue to happen. Yes, get raped. It is a very, very risky profession. So the irony of this whole thing is that the Hollywood machine has for so long disrespected the human body and human sexuality. So you, in certain points in your career, felt maybe empowered as a woman or even on a project that's empowering and yet disempowered in the way that they were doing it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very ironic, and you know, people say art imitates life or life imitates art, and there isn't enough boundaries and protection. There's a very confusing cyclical, you don't know where you begin and end, and it's not a good feeling.
Everything I do, everywhere I go, every penny I spend, there's nothing about me that belongs to me. It all belongs to him.
That's physically dangerous stunts, but sexuality is emotionally dangerous.
So just because you're nude on screen doesn't mean you're just like willy-nilly about your body or your sexuality.
No, I realized through doing the show, due to my own trauma and due to my own disassociation or whatever I've had to deal with real trauma, I've definitely built walls that I've been working in my adult life to take down.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I didn't like about doing the show was I had to put those walls back up, and I didn't want to have to put them up. I just wanted to be able to be safe enough that you don't have to put the walls up. With hitting, I've had less sensitivity because that really is easier to do in a truly fake way. Versus sexuality, you are nude to whatever degree, and you are kissing or doing, like, you have to actually physically do the things,
yeah,
which is even more intense and insane than violent sometimes.
And it is purely simulated, correct?
It's purely simulated.
I don't know if people know that actually.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And a penis never enters a vagina.
There is mouth to mouth, mouth to body.
Yes, and you'll have people's mouths very close to your vagina or theirs to the, it's very close quarters.
So Emily and I met on a movie where we actually both had intimate sex scenes.
You are not doing that right. Here, do this.
We were surrounded by people that I totally did trust, and I never did feel uncomfortable.
Hey, this is Brian.
Nice to meet you, Brian.
But my dad even read the script when he was in town, and he was like, "What is this trashy movie?"
My head is on your penis.
Yeah, it's so fun. And yet it's kind of so innocent in comparison to a lot of
No,
other
I know.
movies.
It's actually a really sweet movie. We had really good experiences doing sex scenes in the sin bin, but you have had not so wonderful experiences.
There's a lot of shame and embarrassment and pressure. When it comes time to somebody asking something of you, if it makes you uncomfortable, you certainly don't want to be the party pooper, and you don't. I think it's a mixture. You don't want to disappoint anybody, but it's also really vulnerable to even admit what would make you uncomfortable.
I will say too that I have been on auditions for big cable networks, and before you even walk in the door, you have to sign a paper that says, I agree to full frontal nudity. And they say, like, oh, you won't be in jeopardy of losing the part, but come on.
Yeah, I have in fact lost parts.
That's what I was going to ask
Yes.
you. Do people ever say, like, terrible things to you online?
Yeah, I've gotten people saying very nasty things about criticizing my body. And there's also this really scary thing that happens where people, I'll get all these direct messages all the time for people talking, just commenting on the ways I'm turning them on and what they're doing in response to that, as if that's being invited automatically by me putting myself out there.
What do you say to someone that just easily says, well, you deserve it. Look at what you did. You're the one getting naked. You're the one inviting this.
Empathy is a very important thing to have in life, and I think empathy ultimately comes from trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes, and at least, even if you couldn't possibly imagine what it's like in their shoes, accepting that you can't imagine what it's like in their shoes.
I think there is something so beautifully to be said about being modest or hiding your body for the right person in your personal life or whatever. But I do think that our country is so into violence. I'm so used to seeing someone's head blow off. But nudity, like just the nipple of a woman being exposed, is this like, she must have no morals, look at her exposing herself in this way. And I think violence is so much more of a problem than nudity. And the more we were perhaps exposed to nudity, the less salacious and crazy it would become. Not that everyone has to be throwing off their clothes, but like, maybe don't put the weight on it that we do.
Well, also it's putting so much value, like I was saying, on the nipple. Like, it's completely devaluing a woman as a whole and making it like their entire existence and their mystery all lies in like something that's between a few centimeters and a few inches in size.
Do you feel completely exposed when you're naked, or do you feel like there's still secret parts of yourself?
Just because someone sees my nipples doesn't mean they know what my hair smells like, or what my favorite food is, or we're exposing ourselves constantly on Instagram and showing every single move we make.
Yeah.
That's to me far more exposing than you can kind of guess what someone's boobs look like even in their shirt.
I think it's really beautiful to consider that your nudity's been exposed. It doesn't mean your whole womanhood or personhood has been exposed.
And so modesty can mean many different things. You can personalize, I feel like, what modesty is for you. For me, maybe it's certain aspects of my life about my mind that I don't want people to know except for people who I let in.
Keeping secrets.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's not my nipples for me.
Yeah. I will admit to you guys, I've been modeling in LA this entire time. And then when I did end up posing nude, it was super out of a rebellion for me. I was like, I don't like that I have to hide all the time, and I don't like all these things that people have told me I need to be. So I was acting out of rebellion, and now all of a sudden getting older, my personal modesty is getting more like, oh, I only want my lover to see me.
I have the same,
Yeah, I don't think any of us should be judging each other about that personal journey. It takes a while to figure out how it feels when people consider you sexy, even when you're not ready to be considered sexy.
You're a lot more than your naked body and than a nude of yourself, and I think there's still a lot that you can still have ownership and privacy to of yourself. In my legacy in life, I guess the world will know what my breasts look like, but there's still a lot of things they won't know. And so my surprise for a man isn't my breasts, which I think it shouldn't be really for anybody. I think there's a lot more to all of us that we could find. So to me, it's sharing something intimate with them or having an experience with them.
When and why would you ever consider nudity important to a story?
Well, for example, the show I'm on now about pornography, I find it quite crucial because it's literally about nudity in real life in the 70s on porn set. People would be standing around eating sandwiches naked, and that's just what it is, and it's not meant to be sexy. Obviously, what is sexy to someone can't be controlled, but that is not its intention at all. And so for me, I believed in that. As a woman growing up in the kind of dawn of internet porn, and seeing how I think it has really affected our generation. To me, telling the story of porn and trying to bring more sensitivity to that is actually very important to me.
We can't pretend or exclude these stories that are so crucial to like life and telling the history of how this happened, and also with all due respect to the women and men that were a part of it. You know, I feel like in a way it would be disrespectful to not portray it in a way that was
Honestly,
realistic and like their experience.
No, I mean that's the whole point, and it is kind of ironic because I'm sure a lot of people would assume as being a part of a show about porn that I'm this free-spirited sexual person who loves porn, and I actually I've been like terrified. I mean, my whole adolescence I was terrified of even the idea of a boy watching porn. That's something that I always dreaded, like having the conversation about
Do you watch porn?
Terrifies me. And like what your masturbation life is horrifying to me. I do think it has definitely helped. Just like with any of the monsters under your bed and turning on the lights, it's just actually look at it and see it and understand it at a closer range, I think has helped me.
Any final thoughts?
Empathy.
Yes, practice empathy, please.
And nuance and details, and I don't
Gray
think any
areas.
God is great and life is great, and there's always more layers and perspectives to things and people's experiences.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, donate to my Patreon if you can. We love you guys. God bless.